Have you been puzzled by the sudden shift in behavior from someone you suspect has hidden motives? You've seen them, those individuals whose intentions flicker like shadows, revealing glimpses of something darker beneath. Today, we peel back these layers, exposing the manipulative tactics used by those who wish to deceive. The first thing you must understand about manipulative individuals is their strategic pivot to overhaul their reputation once exposed. This isn't just a slight modification of behavior, it's a calculated transformation aimed at replacing old perceptions with new, misleading impressions to regain your trust and the trust of others around them. When a manipulative person realizes you have seen through their facade, their immediate response is often to initiate a dramatic change in how they present themselves. This can be as overt as suddenly taking up charitable causes they previously ignored, or as subtle as altering their communication style to appear more open and sincere than before. They understand that their survival in your social or professional circle depends on reshaping their image from that of a manipulator to a misunderstood ally who is supposedly intent on making amends. Consider the scenario in the workplace where a colleague, once known for their underhanded tactics, begins to champion transparency and teamwork vehemently. They volunteer for projects they used to avoid and propose initiatives for team building and improvement. To an unsuspecting observer, these actions signal a positive change. However, you, armed with the knowledge of their past behavior, can see this for what it truly is, a strategic play to cloud judgment and restore a favorable status. This reputation overhaul is often accompanied by narratives that paint their previous actions in a misunderstood light. They craft stories that evoke sympathy and understanding, portraying themselves as victims of circumstance or attributing their past behaviors to misinterpretations. They know that if they can control the narrative, they can sway perceptions and muddy the clear waters of their actual intentions. Their ultimate goal is to reintegrate themselves into the group or relationship with their new persona, gaining back the influence and control they fear losing. This is not a genuine change, but a facade, carefully constructed to exploit the forgiving nature of others. As you tread these waters, it's crucial to remain vigilant and question the authenticity of sudden transformations. Watch for inconsistencies between their words and actions, and remember that true change is a slow process marked by consistent efforts, not rapid shifts designed to impress. By understanding these tactics, you can protect yourself and others from being misled by a carefully curated, but ultimately hollow, reinvention of character. The second thing to comprehend about manipulative individuals is their opportunistic approach to relationships, characterized by what I call conditional presence. They hover around not out of a genuine connection or commitment, but because they see an opportunity to benefit from the interaction. This conditional involvement is a tactical maneuver. They are present when there is something to gain and conspicuously absent when there is something to give. You might recognize this pattern in someone who suddenly becomes attentive and engaging when they need a favor or support. For example, consider a colleague who only reaches out when a deadline approaches, needing your expertise to bail them out. Their charm during these interactions may feel genuine, but it's transient, vanishing as soon as their needs are met. This same individual becomes a ghost when the tables turn. If you find yourself in a bind, needing the kind of support you've previously extended, they are suddenly unavailable. Their excuses are plentiful and often plausible, but the pattern is unmistakable. They are there for their benefits, not for mutual support. This selective presence is a calculated withdrawal, not an accidental oversight. Manipulative individuals craft their engagements with precision, ensuring each interaction advances their agenda. They assess the potential return on investment each relationship offers and adjust their involvement accordingly. This approach reduces their relationships to transactions where emotional depth and genuine concern are replaced by cold, calculated exchanges. Understanding this pattern is crucial. It helps you recognize the imbalance in the give and take of your interactions with them. This awareness is vital because it shields you from the emotional drain and disappointment that comes from unreciprocated emotional investment. It also empowers you to set boundaries that protect your interests and emotional well-being. When dealing with such individuals, it is essential to temper your expectations and safeguard your resources. Recognize the signs early: the sudden warmth when they need something, the equally sudden coolness when they don't. By doing so, you can decide consciously what you are willing to offer, knowing fully well the likely one-sided nature of the exchange. The third thing to grasp about the mechanics of manipulation is the unsettling or hostile vibes emitted by these individuals once they realize you're aware of their schemes. This palpable shift in their demeanor is not just a slight change in attitude, but a strategic response designed to unsettle you, asserting dominance in personal and professional interactions. When a manipulative person detects that their actions are no longer under the radar, their initial charm often gives way to a more defensive and sometimes aggressive posture. You might notice this as a sudden coldness in their communication, or a sharpness in their tone that wasn't there before. They could become overtly critical, picking at your work or decisions in ways designed to undermine your confidence. For instance, a colleague who once praised your contributions might start questioning your judgment in front of others, casting doubts that weren't there before. This shift is calculated. The intent is to destabilize you, to make you question your own perceptions, and perhaps even to silence your suspicions through intimidation. It's a form of psychological warfare, where the manipulator aims to regain control by making you feel inferior, unsure, and isolated. This change in dynamics can significantly impact both your personal comfort and your professional performance. In a work environment, this could manifest as increased stress, anxiety about interactions with the manipulator, or a general feeling of unease that affects your ability to focus and produce your best work. In personal relationships, this shift can strain communications and create a toxic atmosphere where you feel constantly on guard, unsure of when the next jab or cold shoulder will come. Recognizing these tactics is crucial for maintaining your equilibrium. Understanding that this shift in their demeanor is a reaction to your awareness gives you an advantage. It means you have the power to not be swayed by their behavioral fluctuations. Keep a record of instances that feel designed to destabilize you, and where possible, discuss these patterns with trusted friends or mentors who can offer perspective and support. Strengthen your resolve by reminding yourself of your right to a respectful and positive interaction space. You are not obligated to tolerate anyone's hostile vibes, and you have every right to seek out environments, both professional and personal, that support and uplift you. These strange vibes are a telltale sign of the manipulator's desperation to maintain control. Your awareness and subsequent response can either feed their tactics or disarm them completely. Choose to empower yourself with the knowledge of their behavior, and let your actions be informed by confidence and self-respect, not by the manipulative pressures of those who wish to control you. The fourth thing to recognize about manipulative individuals is their propensity for layering lies, continuously weaving new fabrications to cover old deceptions. This relentless fabrication isn't merely a bad habit, it's a tactical ploy, ensuring you're never quite able to grasp the slippery truth beneath their ever-evolving stories. You have likely encountered this maddening cycle. Just as you start to unravel one lie, they present another slightly altered version of events that casts doubt on your understanding or redirects your suspicions. For example, a manipulative partner might initially lie about where they were one evening. When confronted with evidence to the contrary, they might concoct a new lie, perhaps claiming they were planning a surprise for you and had to keep it secret, thus why they weren't where they said they'd be. Each new lie is designed not just to deflect from the original falsehood, but to emotionally engage you in a way that makes you doubt your perceptions, or worse, your sanity. This strategy of layering lies does more than confuse. It erodes the very foundation of trust. In a work setting, this might manifest as a colleague who promises to support your project and repeatedly assures you of their contributions, yet each deadline reveals nothing but excuses and more promises. The impact? You're left doubting not only their reliability, but questioning your judgment for trusting them in the first place. The damage extends deeper in personal relationships. The continuous deception creates an environment of chronic insecurity and tension. You become perpetually vigilant, trying to sift through what's real and what's fabricated, which can be emotionally exhausting and isolating. Trust, once the cornerstone of your interactions, becomes a casualty of their deception, leaving you to wonder if any genuine understanding can ever be re-established. Recognizing this pattern is crucial. When you detect a cycle of overlapping lies, maintain a detailed record of inconsistencies. This documentation can serve as a grounding tool, helping you to validate your experiences and perceptions against their attempts to cloud the truth. It is also essential to set boundaries once this behavior is identified. Clear, firm communication about your expectations for honesty can sometimes deter further deceit, but more often it prepares you for the possibility that distancing yourself might be necessary for your well-being. Ultimately, the challenge with manipulative individuals and their layers of lies isn't just about catching falsehoods or confronting dishonesty. It's about protecting your mental and emotional health from the corrosive effects of continuous deception. This understanding equips you with the resilience and tactics needed to navigate and, if necessary, extricate yourself from their tangled webs. The fifth thing to understand about manipulative individuals is their adept use of tactics that are designed to appear sympathetic or reformed, all tailored to manipulate your perceptions and actions. These strategies are not spontaneous acts of kindness, but calculated moves intended to regain control or direct outcomes to their favor. Consider the co-worker who has been subtly undermining you and suddenly starts complimenting your work in front of supervisors, or the ex-partner who, after a history of indifference, begins sending thoughtful messages or gifts. At first glance, these gestures might seem like genuine changes of heart, but you must be wary of the timing and the context. Often these acts of kindness are strategically deployed to sway your opinion right when you're starting to see their true colors. These manipulative tactics are particularly insidious because they exploit your natural inclination towards forgiveness and understanding. The manipulator knows that people prefer to believe in the good in others, so they present themselves as having seen the error of their ways or being unjustly misunderstood. They craft stories that paint themselves as victims of circumstances or past errors, now reformed or in need of sympathy. For example, think of a scenario where after a significant fallout over deceitful behavior, the manipulator suddenly starts sharing personal stories of difficulties or past traumas that explain their actions. While these revelations may be partly true, their disclosure is timed to deflect from their wrongdoing and elicit your sympathy, effectively shifting the narrative from their manipulation to their hardship. It is crucial to approach such situations with a healthy dose of skepticism. Recognize that while people can genuinely change, true reformation is demonstrated consistently over time, not conveniently displayed when past behaviors are called into question. Always consider the broader history and patterns of behavior rather than isolated incidents of seemingly positive behavior. Therefore, when you encounter a sudden shift towards what appears to be sympathetic or reformed behavior in someone you know to be manipulative, pause and consider the motivation. Discuss these observations with trusted friends or advisors who can provide an objective perspective. This can help you avoid being swayed by emotional manipulations designed to obscure your judgment. By understanding these tactics, you empower yourself to respond not out of immediate emotional reactions, but from informed, deliberate decisions. This stance not only protects you from further manipulation, but also reinforces your boundaries, making it clear that superficial changes are insufficient to win back your trust or influence your decisions. The sixth thing to grasp in the realm of manipulation is the tactical undermining of your confidence. Manipulative individuals employ a range of strategies designed specifically to make you feel inadequate, foolish, or unsure of your own decisions and abilities. This insidious approach is not random cruelty, but a calculated method to shake the very foundation of your self-assurance, making you more reliant on their approval and guidance. Consider how this might unfold in a typical workplace setting. A manipulative colleague might subtly question your decisions in front of others, not overtly enough to seem hostile, but just enough to plant seeds of doubt. "Are you sure that's the right approach?" Or, "We've never done it that way before, it seems risky," they might say, framing their skepticism as concern or constructive criticism. Over time, these remarks can erode your confidence, leading you to second-guess your choices and, paradoxically, depend more on the very person who undermines you. In personal relationships, this tactic can be even more devastating. The manipulator might belittle your interests, achievements, or even your feelings, often under the guise of joking or just being honest. For example, they might dismiss a project you're passionate about with a cutting remark about its viability or the time you've invested in it. The goal here is to make you feel that your judgment is flawed, that without their guidance, you would make serious mistakes. Why do they engage in such behavior? The root lies in their desire for control and dominance. By making you question your worth and judgment, manipulators create a scenario where you become more dependent on them for validation and decision-making. This dependency reinstates their position of control and ensures that you are less likely to make autonomous decisions that could threaten their influence over you. Recognizing these tactics is the first step in counteracting them. When you sense that someone's feedback is consistently aimed at undermining rather than improving your performance, take a step back. Assess their comments critically. Do they empower or diminish you? Engage in self-affirmation practices and seek feedback from multiple sources to get a balanced view of your abilities and worth. Remember, the goal of such manipulators is to weaken your confidence to the point where their influence becomes central to your decision-making. By understanding this, you can start to reclaim your confidence and reduce their power over you. Establishing and reinforcing your boundaries is crucial, as is nurturing your self-esteem away from their corrosive influence. Equip yourself with the self-assurance and independence that render their tactics ineffective, thereby restoring your rightful control over your personal and professional life. The seventh thing to understand about manipulative individuals is their strategic use of feigned ignorance, particularly when confronted with the harm they cause. This tactic isn't about genuine misunderstanding. It's a deliberate ploy to evade accountability and continue their manipulative behavior without repercussions. Visualize this scenario. You finally muster the courage to confront someone who has been subtly undermining you, perhaps by spreading rumors or manipulating your words. You expect a moment of realization, a chance for correction. Instead, you are met with a feigned perplexity. "I really had no idea you felt that way," they might say, or, "I was only joking, can't you take a joke?" This response is calculated to dismiss your concerns, suggesting that the fault lies not with their actions, but with your reactions. This tactic of playing dumb serves multiple purposes. First, it places the manipulator in a position where they seem innocent and wronged by the accusation itself, painting you as the aggressor. This not only deflects the focus from their misdeeds, but also puts you on the defensive, making it harder for you to argue your point without seeming unreasonable or overly sensitive. Second, feigned ignorance works to publicly minimize the significance of their actions. By pretending not to understand the impact of their behavior, they suggest that the problem is not real, but a product of your overreaction. This can be incredibly isolating, as it often leads others to question the validity of your claims, especially if they have only seen the charming side of the manipulator. Why do they engage in this behavior? The goal is simple: to make you doubt your own perception and to maintain their control over the narrative. If they can convince you and others that their harmful actions are just misunderstandings, they can continue to operate without change, keeping their position and power intact. To counteract this manipulative tactic, it's essential to trust your instincts and maintain a clear record of incidents that illustrate their behavior. This documentation can be crucial when your perceptions are called into question. Additionally, seek the perspective of trusted friends or colleagues who can provide objective viewpoints and support. Understanding the role of feigned ignorance in manipulation allows you to approach such situations with a strategic mindset. Recognize the dismissal for what it is, a tactic to undermine your confidence and skew the truth. Stand firm in your experiences, articulate your boundaries clearly, and do not allow this feigned naivety to sway your resolve. You've seen how these individuals layer lies, undermine confidence, feign ignorance, and opportunistically manage their presence in your life. All strategies honed to ensure their survival while diminishing your emotional fortitude. Understanding these behaviors is not merely an academic exercise. It is essential for maintaining your emotional safety in a world where such characters often move unchecked. Each example provided, from the workplace colleague who subtly questions your decisions to the partner who downplays your feelings, serves as a critical lesson in vigilance. These are not just interpersonal annoyances. They are signs of a deeper, more damaging influence that can disrupt your life's harmony and erode your sense of self. As you move forward, let this knowledge empower you, not encumber you. Forewarned is forearmed. Recognize the signs early, trust your gut, and take proactive steps to protect your emotional and psychological well-being. Establish firm boundaries, and do not hesitate to enforce them, regardless of the manipulator's tactics to convince you otherwise. Your boundaries are not just lines in the sand. They are your fortress walls, defending your right to emotional security and respect. Moreover, engage in open dialogues with trusted peers or counselors who can provide support and perspective. Often, manipulators isolate their targets, knowingly or unknowingly. By maintaining strong, healthy connections with others, you counteract this isolation and reinforce your defenses against manipulation. Finally, I urge you to share your stories. Whether in forums with friends or in support groups, speaking about your experiences can be cathartic and educational, both for you and for others. You never know who might benefit from hearing your tale, who might recognize in your words the solution to their own entanglements.